Hey, I hope that this broadcasting is visible. We will have a look if it works. And I'm waiting for the first people, and we'll now copy it into my Twitter account and will inform you about our discussion. Oh. Okay, we have one person who's viewing. Welcome. And yes, welcome to the live broadcast. And it is an ad hoc live broadcast. We are trying to find out what is happening in Moscow. And first of all, we are trying to focus on the, thank you for visiting. We're trying to focus in on the questions. Is there is a pattern behind such attacks? What has happened earlier in this area? Does it look like something we know? And what can we say? What can we say about what is happening? Yeah, Chris Junk is sorry if I pronounce it not correctly. Is writing false flag wipes. Exactly, that was the first thing I thought when I saw the news. And let me elaborate a bit of what we know about the Crocus Hall. What is Crocus Hall? Like, if you imagine Moscow, Moscow is a huge city. It's a pretty like oval structure. The original Moscow, they have expanded its territory to the south west several years ago, creating a huge like triangle pointing to southwest. But that is not actually a city. There are a lot of forests and former villages or towns which just legally belong to Moscow now, but you don't have like a constant structure of the houses, a constant network of streets. So what we have is Moscow is an oval, more or less, surrounded by the so-called MKAD. MKAD is an abbreviation in Russian, which stands for Moskovskaya Kolesovaya Автодорога, or literally Moscow Automobile Ring Street. And this MCAT has like more or less the length of 110 kilometers. If you use the P number, you may pi number, you may calculate the diameter more or less of Moscow. But what is important that a lot of malls, a lot of centers where people spend their weekend, like buying food or furniture, clothes, or having fun, like visiting cinemas and theaters, they are located around this cut, around this ring, and often outside of the ring, because outside of the ring, it was legally not Moscow; it was Moscow region, and the territory was much more cheap, like to build and to construct. So the Crocus Hall is one of such huge halls, like it's actually a city. Like, you can live there for months. They have concert halls there, exhibition halls, restaurants, cinema theaters. A lot of concerts of pop stores take place there. You have the shops, you have the everything. So if you imagine a huge mall, it is Crocus City. And today we have seen the news that several masked men with backpacks and with automatic rifles entered this Crocus Hall and started to shoot. And if you if you are like old enough like me, and if you played with your children Call of Duty game, or if you are of the age of my like the next generation of my kids, if you used to play the Call of Duty, you remember in Call of Duty Modern Warfare Part 2, there was a mission, No Russian. And the No Russian mission was actually a false flag operation in Moscow airport Sheremetyevo, when a group of special force guys from the Russian service, they just attacked that Moscow Sheremetyevo airport, killing people there and leaving one dead American soldier to provoke the diplomatic conflict and to say, okay, the Americans were behind this attack. And what I say now is like the person who orchestrated this attack was a huge fan of Call of Duty or Modern Warfare 2, because sometimes the pictures are indistinctable, identical to what we know from that game. So what we know until now, we know that 40 people were killed, about 100 have been wounded, and the attackers or who else put the building on fire, and we see now a huge fire. What was interesting in the pictures is that there were no guards in the inner rooms. Like the attackers, they just came through the area without any resistance, and they just shoot with very short bursts of gunfire, like 3-4 bullets a time, and they were shooting people. And now, like I was looking at the comments in some chats with military guys, which I follow, like closed groups, like Ukraine related, Russia related, special operations related. They were saying that, look, it's really strange because if you compare it, I'm not an expert here, just in this case, I just repeat what I read. We know the cases of shooting by people who were really terrorists, Like we remember the Las Vegas shooter, we remember the Breivik shooter. Both were hardcore terrorists who wanted to kill as much people as possible, and that was their goal, to kill people. And they were alone. There was like lone shooters. And yeah, Bataclan, you also mentioned, yes, that theater in the theater in Paris, a cinema movie theater in Paris. And you have a Kalashnikov gun, and a Kalashnikov gun has 30 round ammunition. And if you have the same thing, but not from the assault rifle, but from a machine gun Kalashnikov, but you can use it in Kalashnikov assault rifle, you have 45 ammunition rounds, and you can use them within like 3 seconds, and it's empty. And you can change it. And if you're an attacker who wants to kill as much people as you want to, you can just like shoot one after another until your gun is jammed. And that's what many people did who were attackers. Like think about the Christchurch attacker in New Zealand and others. And having people, civilians, practically locked into the city, into the shop mall, closed area, very few exits. The attackers haven't blocked the exits. The attackers didn't use long bursts. They just shoot very precisely, 3 bullets, 4 bullets, 3 bullets. So I don't say it was planned to not to kill more people, but it looks really funny for me. But that is like more or less like maybe they were nervous, maybe they didn't know what they want to do, maybe they had to change their plans, which also can be a case. Like we know that not every terrorist attack goes according to plan. Maybe they wanted to attack one target and it wasn't possible because of, for example, heavy police presence or something else, traffic jam. They couldn't go there. It's Friday evening in Moscow. And they decide, okay, like we go to target B, we go like plan B, and that is the area which we attack, and we don't know all the exits, we're not prepared, etc. Can be, but what makes me really suspicious and what practically speaks against the Russians is that Russia has a huge history, a huge record of false flag attacks, huge. Vladimir Putin himself came to power in 2000, in the year 2000. He was first time elected and maybe it was the only more or less fair elections which he won. Fair in sense that the votes were counted correctly, not in sense that the okay, Sergey, why don't you stream on X Live too? Asked Brent.ua. Okay, I don't know how to do it actually parallelly. That is the answer. If you tell me how to make it like parallelly, I would gladly do it. But when we remember how Vladimir Putin came to power back then, like he was elected, as I said, fairly. The votes were counted more or less fairly, but the campaign was unfair. And his electoral campaign, started in September 99, as he was already a prime minister appointed by his predecessor, Boris Yeltsin. And at that time, several apartment buildings, like multi-story houses in Moscow, just exploded in the night, killing dozens, if not hundreds of people. And yes, and LUSI or Lucy writes, everyone knows Rezan Sugar. And that was exactly the story of Rezan Sugar. So what was back then in 1999? First, in the Russian parliament, in Duma, the speaker Seleznov, I think he was Sergei Seleznov, but I'm not sure if he was Sergei, but Seleznov was the speaker of the Duma, the parliament. He received like a note, and he read that note, and he said that right now I've got news from FSB intelligence service that there was a terrorist attack in Volgodonsk city in the south of Russia, and an apartment building was blown into air with multiple casualties. Terrible. The problem was that the Volgodonsk attack on an apartment building explosion, which killed many people, didn't happen on that day. It happened a couple of days later. So he received and he read the report on an attack which didn't happen on that day, which was just planned to happen. And Volgodonsk is a provincial city in the like Russian's far south, and that didn't impact the mood of the Muscovites that much. So in the next days, an apartment building in Moscow went on air, like was exploded in the night, and many people died. And in Moscow and around Moscow, very understandable paranoia started when people started to check, like, and ask people, where are you from, what are you doing here, what is in your car, what is in your luggage and your baggage. And some very valiant citizens, they have seen in the city close to Moscow, Ryazan, that some strange guys arrived with their car to their multi-story house and started to load some heavy sacks with something into the cellar of the house. The citizens alerted the police came, the guys were arrested, and the police found explosive in these sacks. Next day, and police reported that a terrorist attack in Ryazan was prevented. Terrorist attack which was similar to what happened in Moscow. But the next day, the head of Russian FSB service, I think it was Mr. Patrushev already back then, came to media and said that it was not an explosive in the sacks and it wasn't a terrorist attack, but it was a test of vigilance of the police and citizens, and the people who were loading the sacks with that, like heavy sacks with allegedly explosives, there were FSB officers, and it was not explosive in the sacks; it was sugar in the sacks. So they were released, the people, and like it was a false alarm, nobody's harmed, everything's good. But the people who reported on that alleged terrorist attack, they disappeared later, and some of them lost their jobs, etc. And many people in Russia believed that actually it was the continuation of the chain of attacks, and actually the FSB officers using false identities planned to destroy another house close to Moscow, but then the operation was stopped because police arrested these FSB officers, and their names like were exposed, and they believed if they do now the explosion that this will be a problem for them. A book was published by Mr. Litvinenko. The book with the name FSB взрывает Россию, or FSB puts bombs on Russia. And Mr. Litvinenko was killed painfully in London after that by a radioactive polonium toxin. And we know all his pictures of how he's laying in a deathbed, like without any hairs, like heavily damaged by radioactivity of polonium he got by FSB agents. So why am I talking so long and elaborating on that story? The very start of Vladimir Putin's career as a president of Russia was connected to the false flag attack killing Russian citizens. And we know that this is actually what Russia does all the time, Moscow does all the time. The Soviet-Finnish war started with shelling by the Russian army of Russian army unit, killing people, and. So this makes me suspicious, and we know that the Western embassies, published several days ago a warning in Russia that they have received like some information that public events in Moscow can be attacked, and public gatherings should be avoided. And on the 19th of March, 3 days ago, Vladimir Putin announced in his interview that he has been informed about such statements by the foreign embassies, and he, I quote, sees it as a provocation and a form of pressure on the Russians. So now we need to ask a question: if the Western embassies warn their citizens that there can be problems in Moscow, and they have received like some intel that something like that is being planned, and they don't recommend to attend mass gatherings, and Vladimir Putin publicly comes to the public and says, "No problem, nothing is there in the air, and nothing is here what you should be afraid of." We should ask ourselves, like, how could Western embassies be more informed about a wild terrorist attack, if it was a wild terrorist attack, than Vladimir Putin and his FSB and his informators and secret services in the country? The only way why Vladimir Putin would have denied it is when he was behind these planned attacks, or his services. And now we need to ask ourselves, why would Vladimir Putin need that? And why would Russia need that? And here I can say Vladimir Putin has just had his elections, or so-called elections, or his like coronation, just last weekend. And normally we know terrorist attacks, they happen before elections, if they're terrorist attacks, because the terrorists want to influence the situation. They want to scare people. They want to disrupt the political system. But Vladimir Putin has proclaimed that he won the elections. He has got his next 6 years in service less than 1 week ago. And now he starts to escalate. He has attacked Ukraine with a huge barrage of missiles last night, like 60 missiles. He has attacked Ukraine tonight with another huge barrage of missiles. He has destroyed several power plants in Ukraine. The city of Kharkiv, 1 million people, is freezing now without electricity and without heat. And by the way, we are currently collecting money for urgent purchase of power banks and power stations for Ukraine. Here is a link I publish into chat. You may donate via PayPal. We already have the goods which are being promised for us by a seller in Ukraine. The goods are in Ukraine. They are ready to be shipped. We get a huge discount, like about 30% compared to the list price, and the seller pays for the delivery to the east and south part of Ukraine. So if you want to donate for Ukrainians to support them under freezing temperatures after Russia's missile attack, feel free to donate. And why I'm talking that, when I'm saying that, because Russia has clearly escalated during the last days massively. Russia has announced additional mobilization of at least 300,000 people. Russia has announced a creation of 2 land armies, over 20 divisions, 60 brigades. And this is what you cannot do on the third year of war without much success. And Russians don't have much success. Like the front line doesn't move around. Like they push like Avdiivka, they push in Kupiansk, they push there and there, but it's just about like a couple of kilometers, maybe 10 kilometers. It's not what they can present to your own people as a huge victory against Ukraine, a country they believe doesn't exist. So they need to have something which unites people, which brings them feeling of like people's war. And this morning, today, press speaker of Vladimir Putin, Dmitry Peskov, came to public and said that now, starting from today, Russia is in war. Like what they had before was a special military operation, and now they have war. And I remind you that usage the very word war was partly even banned in Russia for months and years. And those people who used the word war could have been sentenced to a jail. Like they could have been put behind the bars because they like spread misinformation and manipulation and lie about the special military operation. And now the speaker of Putin himself uses deliberately the word war. And in the evening, they have something what can be used as an explanation that they are in war now. Like in Moscow, a huge mall is burning, people have been killed and hunted, terror pictures, blood, corpses, etc. Now they are in a patriotic war. And I think that's why it can be a provocation and a false flag. And we also have now a message from Ukrainian military intelligence, GUR, who said that they are sure it is Russia's false flag operation. And in this case, I tend to believe Ukrainian GUR what is happening in Moscow, and I don't believe the Russians when they say what is happening in Moscow, especially with that long history of lie and organized and false flag attacks. So now I go to the comments, false flag vibes. Everyone knows Rezan Sugar. We have elaborated on that. Hello from Romania. Yes, hello to Romania. And do you have any information on why did the terrorists execute the attack? Now, there are no official explanation. There are no any information which the Russians have spread saying this is the statement by the terrorists. No, we don't have anything. What we have now, and that's actually very interesting, we have already now the statements by some Russian gurus of Russian opposition. For example, Yulia Latinina, who is a star of Russian opposition. Yes, hello to Kiev. Yuka Romanets is there with Ukrainian flag. Hi, great to see you here. And yes, and we have a statement by Yulia Latinina, who is a guru of Russia's opposition, liberal opposition, and she's always interested in her takes. Like she's a denier of climate change. He's a fan of using torture as an interrogation tool. Yes, she's a Russian liberal, and she believes that extrajudicial executions are a great thing when they are being performed by right people. Her argument is when Harry Potter would have been forbidden, would have banned of killing Voldemort. It had been like a bad decision. So just an interesting person and a star of Russian liberal opposition, a journalist. And she already explained in her Twitter that she believes that this operation can be a Ukrainian attack on Russia. And she said that this attack is something which can be in line with attacks by the Russian volunteer corps, Russian volunteer corps against facilities in Belgorod region. And if it is the case, she writes, if it were Ukrainians behind this Crocus City attack, then it is a very bad sign, and Ukraine has crossed a line. And yeah, we need to ask ourselves, like, why the hell did Ukrainians need to do that? Like, normally, like, a terrorist attack is being performed when terrorists believe they can either spread their message or that they can influence the political situation in the country. And we don't see either one or another case here. There is no statement by alleged terrorists. And how can you change a situation in Russia, which is a dictatorship, by killing random people? That's why terrorist attacks, they mostly don't happen in dictatorships. They can happen in dictatorships when it is when the situation in the country tends to some sort of a civil war, like when representatives of one religious group just hunts representatives of another religious group to push them out of the region to make their life unbearable. But you don't have infiltrated fighters or soldiers or agents who just randomly kill people in a dictatorship to influence the decision of dictator. Vladimir Putin has killed 300,000 of his soldiers in Ukraine already. Will he change his mind if alleged Ukrainian agents would have killed like 40 people in Moscow? No, of course not. So there is like no reason for a terrorist attack by Ukrainians. They cannot reach anything. If a Ukrainian special group, special agents group, like 20 people, heavily armed, could have moved freely in Moscow, they would have done other things. They would have attacked like Kapotnya oil refinery, the largest oil refinery in central Russia, and just destroy it. They would have maybe seized like some power plant, or I don't know, like they could have seized like Moscow, like some water reservoir dams of the Moscow water reservoir, and release the water as, I don't know, as a revenge for what the Russians did to Kakhovka plant and what they tried to do today by attacking with missiles a dam of a water reservoir in Zaporizhia, and at least two Russian missiles hit a water reservoir dam in Zaporizhia, water reservoir dam which holds a reservoir with 3,000 cubic kilometers of water. That makes over 3 billion tons of water. If the Zaporizhia dam would have been destroyed or breached by the Russian missiles today, like thousands of people would have died, thousands instantly. And now you say that the Ukrainian group of like several dozens people, heavily armed, operating in center of Moscow or close to center of Moscow, just think, okay, what we should do? Let's go to random like music concert and let's play Hamas. Let's do what Hamas has done, just like without like killing babies and without rape. Just kill like 40 people. That will be a statement. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So I don't believe in any connection to Ukraine. I think it is the Russian. If the Russians would say they were Ukrainians, what Yulia Latinin is already saying, I would say it is clear a false flag, and we need to wait if the Russians will find some evidences, which they love to do, like some business cards or some passports or anything, and we will see. But let us have a look what the Russian media are writing about the case. The fire in based on the latest news, like 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, the fire is still burning in Crocus City Hall, and according to Russian media, the square of the fire is 12,000 square meters. So it is about, I would say, 30,000 square feet. If there are people who are looking or watching this video from the US, it's about like 30,000 square feet. Yeah, Russia will, of course, call the UN Security Council. That is what they always do. They try to do it after the alleged Ukrainian attacks with missiles against Belgorod, which once again was most probably a Russian false flag attack, because the missiles which the Russian said, has used, they have 3 times less radius, like 3 times less distance of flight than they needed to hit Belgorod from Ukraine's territory. 5 employees of the city mall have been arrested. Okay, that's normal. But here I need to add that there was another one reason why I believe that it is a false flag operation, because according to the Russian media and Russian authorities, at least 4 terrorists have just escaped the crime scene, just escaped. And those who have been to Moscow, they know, like, it's impossible. Sorry, it's impossible. Moscow is a city covered with CCTV cameras, covered with them. People get arrested in Moscow by just entering the subway, because in any entrance of the subway, yes, they say the 4 has escaped. Yes, exactly. Like, people got arrested by police just while they were entering a subway, because you cannot enter a subway without your face got scanned. And saying that in that city hall, in that Crocus City Hall, there were no police, no guards, nobody. That the police corps which came to the scene, they just were staying outside, and that 4 terrorists just escaped. Sorry, it reminds me the case of the terrorist attack on a school in Beslan in 2003, I believe it was, when after 3 days of siege of the school and hundreds of children killed, all the terrorists who were not killed, they just escaped. They just escaped, like just disappeared in the air. And then we asked, like, how can it be possible? And the Russians say, well, they were damn good terrorists. They just like changed their clothes, and we couldn't identify them. So yes, now that's interesting. Dmitry Medvedev, a person who obviously had some strong love for special drinks before he tweets. He posted his message on Telegram, and he writes that terrorists understand only terror. No charges and no investigations will help. Yes, Dmitry, I know that you don't want to have any investigation. No charges and no investigations would help if we do not use the force, and now it's interesting. And if we do not use total executions of the terrorists and repressions against their families. Well, that is why Russia did it. Sorry, they just introduced, I quote, total execution of the terrorists and repressions against their families. And now he continues, if we will find out, I'm sure you will find out it, and you will announce you found it out, no doubt. That's why you have organized it. If we will find out that these terrorists are from the Kiev regime, okay, sorry, that is coincidence, but I have this T-shirt where it is written Kiev regime, and yeah, sorry, that's coincidence. If they will find out that the terrorists came from Kiev regime, we will not be able to deal with them and their ideological inspirators in a different way. All of them should be found and merciless destroyed as terrorists, including the heads of the state which committed such a crime. Death for death. Okay, I'm not sure if Dmitry Medvedev was totally drunk when he was writing that and posting that, but that is a clear, understandable statement. He practically accuses Ukraine in having organized this terrorist attack. He calls for a total execution of all people who related to that and their relatives, and at the same time he names those who is related to that and practically names President Zelensky and all the leaders of the Ukrainian state as the organizers. So he practically calls, like after this terrorist attack, he practically calls for execution of President Zelensky, his family, etc., etc. Yeah, now I make a stop and I read what Brandon QA wrote here. And he writes, "Hey, Sergey, fundraiser we started together a little bit more than an hour for the people of Kharkiv already has more than 5,000 euro. Wow. I just say wow, and I check it on the I check the donation campaign, and that is amazing. We have 5,387 euro. My gosh, that is amazing. And here is the donation link once again, and I repeat that 2 days ago, 2 nights ago, and this night, Russia has launched 2 unprecedentedly dense missile and drone attacks against Ukraine and Russian missiles. And this night was especially bad because Ukraine has managed to destroy only 2/3 of the missiles and drones, and the Russians have hit many high power, high voltage electricity lines, and what is very bad, several power plants, including the Zaporizhia water power plant, a huge dam constructed still in 1930s and reconstructed in 1950s. And over 1 million people in Ukraine are spending now their night without electricity, without heat. It is freezing temperatures in Ukraine, like -degrees in the east in the night. And it is very nasty situation. And we have already, within the first hours, together with Brandon QA and with some guys who are in Ukraine now, like Richard Vullerov, the leader of Frontline Kit organization, who is in Lviv, in the west of Ukraine. We have found a supplier of power stations. The supplier said he has enough equipment which he can send to the impacted cities and communes, and he can provide us with about like 30% discount, which is very generous, and pay for the delivery. And these devices are heavy because it's a power station. Like, it is not just some clothes, it is heavy. It is like one device weighs like 20 kilo, maybe more. And they will pay for everything. We just need to pay the basic cost of the equipment, and to get like about 30% of discount over the list price. And that's why we are raising donations for the Ukrainian victims of the Russian missiles attack. And you can see the PayPal link. You can follow how much money we have already raised. And if you donate, would be a great help for the Ukrainians. Okay, what we have now here. Yes, the far Medvedev promises to kill Ukrainians for that. Rosgvardia is a Russian heavy armed police, like militarized police, is searching the building, and there are still fights, as far as I understand, in the building. We don't know like what is happening exactly, because the Russians send information very in small ports, small bits. But that's interesting because Sergei Lavrov, who is a Russian foreign minister or Russian minister of international lies, he already demanded expression of condolences from the world leaders. He said that those who want to practically to prove that they are not connected to the case, they must express their condolences. It's practically pressuring. And look who has responded. Turkish Prime Minister of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has already called Sergei Lavrov and expressed his condolences. The UN Secretary General Guterres said that he's saddened by what has happened in Moscow. Egypt has said that they condemn the terrorist attack, etc., etc. The Speaker of Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, said that she demands strong words from the UN. Well, Maria, first, we don't know who is behind that attack, and we strongly believe that it was you or your state. And second, have you demanded from the UN any words when you bombed Ukrainian cities and killed Ukrainian babies and Ukrainian elderly, or when your soldiers just raped Ukrainian women and executed them after that? What do we have more? Let us check other media. Let us check media which are not connected to the Russian state, or at least directly not connected. We can check oppositional, so-called oppositional, because I don't believe they're a real oppositional media, Medusa. But at least they deliver some information which is not identical to what Kremlin is saying. And here they quote people who were witnesses of the event. Like, for example, here they quote a woman named Olga. I don't know if it's true name, but it makes no difference if it's true name or an alias. And she said she's saying the following: I was in the concert hall, was sitting on my seat when everything started, when the attack started. And I didn't understand from the beginning what is happening. 5 minutes before the start of the concert, I heard a strange noise. And first, I believe that it is a thing. The fans of the music band Picnic. Picnic is the name of music group. That they're starting something. What happens sometimes during the concert. Then I heard a noise like the fireworks, but I didn't understand that it were gunshots. But as the gunshots were pretty were not that loud, they maybe took place in the corridor and far from me. Then employees of the Crocus City mall came and run into the hall and started to push us to the scene. Through the scene, we managed to get out. While I was running, I could hear as other people were crying as they have lost their friends in the crowd. I didn't see any wounded. I was happy to buy a ticket in the sixth row close to the aisle. The exit wasn't blocked, so I could reach the scene, run to the street, and take a taxi and get away before the fire started. During that time, the police was already approaching the hall. I remember there were different people, elderly and small kids. I hope they managed to escape. Well, Olga, we also hope that elderly and small children managed to escape. Okay. Yes. So another message is that some terrorists have managed to escape. Police says that they have installed checkpoints in roads in Moscow region. I'm not sure this would help. Yes, that is what we know until now. And what do we have in the comments? Marie Cast says, I already sent a little something. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Marie. And as I said, we are raising donations for the needs of the Ukrainians who have been who have been deprived of electricity and heat by Russian missile attack this night. And you can have a link in the comments in the chat. And it's a PayPal link. You can see who has donated, how much has been donated, and we're about to buy power stations, which are already in Ukraine by the producer, a person where we bought power stations before, and he is ready to provide us with a discount of about 30% compared to the normal price and pay a free delivery. Since the Insider article about his tweets, I believe Medvedev prefers grappa. Or he said, I don't know, like maybe he prefers like a mixture of vodka and beer. As some Russians say, beer without vodka, it means that you spend your money for the drinks unwisely. Okay, so no other ideas yet. Let us have a look what other Russian media writes. Oh, that is interesting. A Russian social network Kontakte, which is actually a Russian clone of Facebook, doesn't work. I wonder why. So Nicaragua condemned the terrorist attack. Uzbekistan condemns terrorist attack. United Arab Emirates condemn terrorist attack. Belarus has introduced additional security measures because of the events in Russia. I wonder if they can explain that while terrorists from Ukraine have managed to escape Crocus City Hall in Moscow and now moving to Minsk in Belarus to do the same there. That is really interesting. We have some condolences and people who condemned the terrorist attack. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, Radosław Sikorski, condemned the attack. Mexico condemned the attack. European Union condemned the attack and expressed condolences. Yes, that is nothing more yet. So I believe that, as I said before, I believe that the Russians will try to use it as another tool to increase the level of psychosis in the country. Vladimir Putin proclaimed himself a winner of presidential elections with 3 puppet candidates. Against them, he competed. Every single of them got slightly over 3%. And by the way, 3% level is very important in Russia, because if you got during the presidential elections over 3% of votes, your costs for the electoral campaign get paid by the state, get reimbursed. So if you get under 3% of votes, then you have financed your presidential campaign by your own effectively. But if you get over 3%, your costs get reimbursed. So wonder what happened. Vladimir Putin got 87% of votes, and 3 oppositional candidates, each of them got slightly over 3%. So I think it was some sort of a present by Vladimir Putin to them, who said, okay, guys, you fought well. It was nice to have you as opponents. Here, your costs will be reimbursed for you. So Vladimir Putin won his elections, or says that he won his elections just 5 days ago. He needs to consolidate the nations. Despite all the Russian support for the war, and the Russians believe that this war is a good thing and Ukraine should be crushed. But still, even if you believe this war is good and the Ukrainians should be crushed, 3 years of war is already too much. And if you get conscripted, it's not a good news for you. So Putin needs to explain why he needs to conscript another 300,000 of people, what he announced shortly after the won presidential elections, and creation of like 2 land armies with over 40, I think, divisions, and over 20 divisions, over 20 divisions and about like 60 brigades. So he needs something which can explain his people why the president is doing all that. And the terrorist attack with people, because people got hunted by rifled men, when he said were Ukrainians who managed to infiltrate in the heart of Russia, into the holy capital of Moscow, hunting innocent people. It would be a great explainer why this war should be done. And we have already seen Dmitry Medvedev, the former president of Russia and one of the most hawkish persons in modern Russia, at least on public level, already called for execution of every single Ukrainian leader and members of their families, claiming that they are directly connected to the terrorist attack. And Dmitry Peskov, a press speaker of press secretary and speaker of President Putin, told this morning to the media that Russia is not in special military operation anymore, but in war. So this can be a false flag operation. If it is not, like slightly chance there is, it is not. The Russians, of course, will use it as a court to attack Ukraine with everything they have, and to explain towards Mr. Scholz and Mr. Biden why they kill Ukrainian civilians, because Ukrainians have all allegedly killed the Russians. Sabine Kainburg writes, "Hallo Sergei, wir haben gespendet." Oh, hi Sergei, we have donated. Gut, was du machst. Liebe Grüße, Sabine. Good what you are doing. Best wishes, Sabine. Thank you so much. Vielen herzlichen Dank, liebe Sabine. Thank you so much for your donation. And it is amazing that you have donated. Thank you for your support for the Ukrainians. As I said, we are raising money for the needs of those Ukrainian civilians who have lost electricity and heating and power through the Russia's missile attacks this morning and the last morning. We know how fast the power stations need to be delivered, must be delivered. And that's why we have found them already in Ukraine. So there is no need to bring them from outside of Ukraine to Ukraine. They are already in Ukraine. They're ready to be shipped. I think tomorrow morning we will see how much money we have raised, and we will send the first payment to the company. We have already 6,386 euro. That is already over 20% of our goal. That is amazing. That is really amazing. So we will send like the first transaction to the company and ask them to send the first power stations immediately on Saturday. And thank God, Ukraine has one of the best delivery services, Nova Poshta, which I've ever seen in my life. They deliver equipment up to the front line, and I have experienced it personally when we sent observation drones to the Ukrainian army. They have been sent from Kyiv to the front line, almost 500 kilometers, and the drones arrived to the front line within 30 hours, like 30 hours from Kyiv to the front line, and the drones came into the hands of the Ukrainian soldiers. It was amazing. So we will send, I think the first batch will come tomorrow, and we will work further on raising money and raising donations. I will personally go to Ukraine next week, and one of my colleagues and friends, Richard Wallerov, is already in Ukraine, in Lviv, and he's a part of this donation campaign. So thank you so much for your support. I will check now. I think the most important things have already been discussed. If you have any questions not related to this terrorist attack, just type them into the chat and we can chat a bit more. And I will try to answer them if I can. And meanwhile, we will see if there are any development. There is any development of the situation. And yes, we can see what we can see now. Russia says that 3 Ukrainian drones have been shot down over Belgorod and Voronezh regions. Both regions are border regions with a direct border to Ukraine. Ukrainian military intelligence denies that Ukraine could have stand beyond the attack, and says quite the opposite. It was Russia's was Russia's false flag attack. I personally believe it was Russia's false flag attack. And yes, and Serbian President Vucic says that the Western intelligence services are behind the terrorist attack. Thank you, Comrade Vucic. You are a good friend of Moscow. You have been promoted to the rank of major. Yes, and Dmitry Medvedev posted his message that he's ready to brutally kill all people who are connected to the terrorist attack, including their members of the families, and they are the leaders of Ukraine, those who he wants to kill. Okay, that is actually everything what we have now. And if there are no questions or no commentaries or no ideas what we can discuss now, I think we can slowly stop to discuss this. And currently the news are that like the Russians have blocked areas around the Crocus City Hall. The fire is still burning, 13,000 square meters, or about 30,000 of feet are burning. Mila Gaidai from Ukraine, obviously, as she's writing in Ukrainian, writes, Sergey, thank you for your support. You're supporting 47th Brigade. Yes, we do. My brother served in the brigade, and now he has been transferred to Special Operations Services. Wow! Greetings from Berlin. Wow, that is amazing. Дякую дуже, пане Міло. Це неймовірно те, що ви пишете. Я дуже щасливий, те, що зміг підтримувати разом з іншими тими, хто донатить 47-му бригаду. І велика подяка вашому братові за те, що він служить, і за його службу. Нехай він повернеться без будь-яких пошкоджень і з перемогою. Слава Україні! I said to Miss Gaidai, Mila Gaidai, that I'm absolutely thankful to her brother, and I'm happy that we could have supported the 47th Brigade, and we will continue to support the 47th Brigade. Our friends there are still on the front line, close to Avdiivka, and we have recently delivered them the next batch of drones and batteries for drones, and we will continue to support them, of course. And the brother of Mila Gaidai served in the 47th Brigade, and now he has been transferred to special forces of Ukraine, which is just wow, one of the best special forces in the world. What they do and what they're capable of, it is absolutely amazing. Absolutely brave people. I'm not even 1% brave like they are. They are like men and women of steel. Absolutely amazing people. So what do we have now? The most of the wounded from Crocus are they have like middle severity wounds. The Russian police says they are still looking for the terrorists inside of the Crocus City Hall. Guys, you need to look in the mirror. Maybe you will find some terrorists. The Russia's appointed head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, said that such terrorist attack could only be organized by cowards and scum. Wow, I will not comment it. And yes, Maria Zakharova, the speaker of Russian foreign ministry, threatens Ukraine. Very predictable, Maria. So yes, I think we should stop by now. If there are no news until now and nothing in development, we will wait until the morning if the Russians come with the new sensational statements about involvement of President Zelensky personally in preparation of this attack. Maybe they will even find his his business card in the Crocus City Hall, which can happen when the Russians are organizing that. And don't forget to donate for the needs of the Ukrainians who have suffered from the Russian missile attack this morning and last morning. We are, as I said, collecting money for buying of electric equipment, generators, and power banks for the Ukrainians. And we have already agreed with a supplier from Ukraine who can send them, starting from tomorrow practically. The devices are ready. They can be shipped as soon as possible, and they will be shipped as soon as possible. We will pay for the first batch with a discount of about 30%, and I hope they will be sent tomorrow on Saturday. Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you for your time. We have spent 1 hour talking about what is happening in Moscow and why I believe it is most probably a false flag attack, and how Russia will try to use it. This is the most important thing, how Russia will try to use it. Thank you so much. We have seen commenters from at least 3 countries, Ukraine, Germany, the United States. Дякую велике в Україну і велике привітання в Україну. І Україна переможе. Ukraine will win. Ukraine will defeat Russia and take care. Thank you, Germany. France, yes, oui. Merci beaucoup. Le France belle. I'm not sure if I can say it. C'est magnifique what you do. That is everything what I can say in French in this late hour. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for what you do and for your donation, of course, for your support for Ukraine. I know that you regularly do it. I know that you stay on Ukraine side, and France is also supporting Ukraine. And I know how many French people stay on Ukraine side, exactly as Germans. Very many Germans stay very actively on Ukraine side. I know it personally from the very personal experience. Thank you from Canada. Yes, thank you to Canada too. You are an amazing nation, and I know how many Ukrainians are in Canada and how strong is support from Canada to Ukraine. Never been there. But I have very good friends in Toronto, and I hope one day I will visit them and hug them. So thank you so much. We will wait what will happen tomorrow, what will be the Russian statement, what will be the new statements from Ukraine. I'm pretty sure the Ukrainians know much more about Russians, perpetrators of this attack, and I hope that this information will be public one day, and we will know who has organized this terrorist attack, killing people in that mall, in that concert center. Thank you so much once again, and have a great day. Take care, support Ukraine, and don't forget that every war ends and with a victory, and it's up to us that this war ends with Ukrainian victory, because this is extremely important and essential for peace and stability and our freedom for the next decades. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and take care.